One of the most universally despised processes in the business world is submitting expense reports. Typically, you have to save all the receipts from your travel, and then you have to go to a website and manually go through all of the receipts and manually enter them one by one into a form. Then you have to get them all accepted. And just everyone hates doing it. I'm going to show you a really neat API that takes a photograph of your receipt and extracts all the pertinent information right into a web form, which then can be obviously checked manually to make sure that the data is correct and then submitted off for expenses. I'm using the Mindy API, and I've built an example using Node.js. And as an example, we're going to use this receipt here where I went to the Cologne airport, went to Aarhus City to buy some groceries, and I spent 1774 euros. So the way this works is simply I pick the receipt that I want to send up, and I hit submit. This will send it to the Node server, and then the Node server will process the file and send it off to the Mindy.com API. That API will send back some JSON, which is parsed by the Node server and then sent back to the end user. So let's check it out. There's the response. And so we can compare it to the original receipt. And you can see the store matches up. It came up as miscellaneous. There was no tax. And I spent $17.74. Perfect. Like, this takes away all of the frustration of having to manually read everything and parse everything and get it to go. I just take a photograph, upload it, and we're good to go. Let's see how we built this. So I'm using Glitch. And the great thing about Glitch is that you can take this code and you can remix it for yourself. So if you come here, you can, right here, you can remix this project and use this code just for yourself. So let's start and see what we've got going on. The first thing is I'm using Express and Pug to build all my views. The first view is a simple page that just has a form, and that form has one input type. It's a file with the name, image source, and then a submit button. So when that file gets sent off to the server, gets parsed, the receipt page is very simple. Again, I'm only showing 4 attributes from the API just for simplicity. There are a lot more attributes. You can read about them at mindy.com. You simply sign up for the API, which is free, and you can read all the documentation. I'm returning the merchant name, the merchant type, the tax, and the total, and then a link to start over again. Now, all the fun stuff obviously is happening on the Node.js server. And so we'll look at the server.js file. We start off with all the modules, Express and Pug, just to make sure that I can build the pages, the path and the file system to mess around with the file on the server, which I'll talk about in a second. And then I use Axios to send the data off to Mindy. I have 2 form things, one to create a form and one to read the form. The first thing that I do is I have an environmental variable in my .env file, and that's my API token from Mindy. All right, the first page that gets loaded is the root page. It's a get, and when that page loads, it just simply loads that page with the form. When the form is filled out and the submit button is hit, that is submitted via post. So this is the post page. Formidable will read the incoming form and parse that form into fields and files. There are no fields, there are only files, so this is super easy. We're going to then look at the file called image source, and we're going to get the name, the path, the type of the file, and the size. Now, when Formidable uploads a file, the file is saved in a temporary directory with a temporary name. Now, if I were then to upload that to the API, that temporary name would be used and returned back with the results. And just to make it so it's clear, I want to make sure that the file name that's sent from the end user and then returned back is the same. So I rename that temporary file with the image path and the original image name, and I rename it. And then once I've renamed that temporary file, I make a request. The make request is a very simple function. I make a new form called data. I have a key called file, which I then attach to the image, and then I send it off with my config as a post to the Mindy endpoint with my token, and then I attach the data. I wait for a response from Axios. Axios sends off the config. I wait for the response, And when I get that response, I can then parse that JSON to get the predictions of the merchant name, the category value, the taxes amount, and the total amount into those 4 variables. I write them to the console log just for fun, and then I return the response, the receipt with those 4 variables to then print it to the end user. So this is really cool. Really, really quickly, really, really easily, really straightforward Node.js code to take an image of receipt and then process it and give the results back to the end user. So take a look at the code. There's a tutorial at mindy.com under the documentation page, and sign up for the API and give it a go. It's a lot of fun to play with. Thanks for watching, and watch this channel for lots more videos about the APIs from Mindy.